Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen, to another Naruto What If. Now today I'm going to be covering what would happen if Naruto was Mahito's reincarnation. And since it's been a while since I've done a more tragic story of Naruto, I figured, hey, let's just do that today. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys go on to enjoy today's video, leave a like on it, seeing as it takes your boy a tremendous amount of time to make these videos. But with that all out of the way, let's begin. We begin our story with Naruto sitting at the swing as he'd be watching everybody else having been accepted into the academy with their parents, having a grandiose day. All the while Naruto would be sitting there wondering why his parents aren't there, why he's alone. As Naruto would sit there pondering these things, Naruto would decide that it's whatever, he's gonna go home and eat some ramen. Yeah, believe it. Naruto would make his way home, and in the process, Naruto would suddenly come across a group of kids playing ninjas. As Naruto would see this, he would stare at them slightly in just a bit of jealousy and wanting to play with them. And as he would walk away, all the kids would suddenly converge together as they start whispering. Then one of the kids would say, hey, come over here, kid. As Naruto, looking behind him with a smile, would say, me? This is when the kids would say, yeah, come over here, we wanted to ask you something. Naruto would rush over there quickly, excitedly wondering what they need, as they would go on to pretty much tell him that they were wondering if he wanted to play ninjas with them. Naruto, hearing this, would feel his heart just kind of start palpitating quickly, as seeing this he would have a smile saying, yeah, who can I be? And the kids would all in unison be like, you could be the villain ninja. So Naruto, hearing that, he's like, oh, okay, well, at least I get to play, right? And they're all like, yeah, of course, you can be the villain. And we're all gonna be the heroes and try to take you down. So Naruto, hearing this, would smile as he's like, all right, well, this should be fun. So Naruto would start getting into character, saying, I'm a villain, like rushing towards the kids. And it's at this point that all of them in unison would rush at Naruto, reeling their arms back and slam, whacking the young Naruto on his body. Naruto would be set tumbling to the ground as he would say, hey, what's the big idea? This is when the kids would say, you're the villain, remember? And the heroes gotta beat up the villain. This is when Naruto would watch smiles creep on all of their faces as Naruto looks at the dirt and thinks, oh, so this is why they wanted me to play. Suddenly, Naruto would slowly get up as he'd be kicked in the stomach, sent to the ground into the dust. And as Naruto would pick himself up, he would say, stop! I don't want to play anymore. You guys tricked me just so you could beat me up. I don't get it. Why? Why would you do that to me? And this is when one of the kids would say, because our parents don't like ya. So we figured that if we beat you up a little bit, they'd probably get pretty happy about that. Mom and dad are always talking about how you killed our family members, our businesses, and all the damage that you've caused just by being in the village. Naruto, wondering what the heck they're on about, would say, what? What are you talking about? I don't know what you're going on about. As the kids would say, well, whatever. They would pretty much grab onto Naruto, not letting him go, as punch after punch and kick would start being sent to Naruto's direction. Suddenly, one of the kids would actually take a kunai out from his pocket, as he would say, we should give him something to remember not to play ninjas by again. And all the kids would suddenly smirk, with one of them going, I don't think you should, but he'd say, shut up, Xander, as he grabs his blade and begins to get closer to Naruto, about to dig it into his stomach and carve his name. This is when suddenly Naruto, grabbing a hold of the kid who had just said that's not a good idea, would make physical contact with him. And in this moment, the boy would turn into a grotesque monster, a sludgy, disgusting creature that Naruto would turn towards as it would start screaming out in agony, saying, help me. Naruto, seeing this, would be scared, going, what? As the kids, leaping backwards and falling to the ground, would say, he's a freak. They begin running away as they leave their friend behind, who shortly after dies. And Naruto, on the ground, having been seen not only by the kids, but also by the villagers nearby walking around, would look at them as they would stare at him with eyes of hatred. Naruto, seeing this, knowing that if anybody finds out about this, that he's going to be thrown into the slammer, would run home as fast as he can, rustling through all the things that he has in his home until finally he finds the most important things, and grabbing them would quickly rush out of the house, thinking, I need to leave the village. If I don't leave the village, they're gonna throw me into prison, or worse, kill him. It's at this point that Naruto, grabbing onto the few things that he has, would grab a couple of cups of ramen as well as a water bottle and make his way out of the village as fast as possible. You would see the young boy going from rooftop to rooftop until eventually he makes his way towards where the village gates would be, running past there when suddenly one of the ninjas there would stop him, saying, "Hey, you can't leave the village without strict Hokage orders." And Naruto, turning around, would see the ninja, would say, "It's because I'm sorry, I guess I was going the wrong way." The man would look at him and say, "Hey, wait, you're Naruto Uzumaki. You need to come with me. Lord Hiruzen would like to have a word with you." And Naruto, hearing this, would get absolutely terrified, thinking that this is it. They're gonna throw him into prison. And judging by how the way that the village treats him, there's no way he's gonna get a free trial. Who's gonna listen to the kid who's called a demon when suddenly he turns someone into a monster? No one's gonna give him the time of day. He's gonna be killed. Naruto, feeling the fear and the anxiety begin to rise to the surface, Naruto would extend his hand out to the man, saying, "Okay." As the man would grab him, going, "Come on." It's at this point that the man would be transformed into a monster slug type being that would begin to screech out in pain as Naruto would rush past the village gate and make his way as far as he humanly can. About 3 hours would pass with Naruto not having stopped to take even a sip of water yet. It's at this point that Naruto, stopping and looking behind him, completely out of breath, would fall onto the ground as Naruto, digging through his backpack as fast as he could, would grab his water bottle, quickly chugging the whole thing as he would look around, realizing that he just made a horrible mistake. That was the only water that he had. How's he gonna cook his ramen? Suddenly, thoughts would start going through his head and he would realize, wait, I need hot water. Staring at his packets of ramen, Naruto would look at them sadly, realizing that he's gonna have to eat them in their hard form. And Naruto did not like having to do that. He's only had to do that a couple of times before when the water wasn't exactly running in his home, but that didn't happen too often. So as Naruto would stare at one of the packets, Naruto would rip it open as he would take it out and start chewing on it. It would hear the crunchy noise as Naruto would hear the and as Naruto would continue eating it, Naruto would begin regaining his strength. Naruto would get back up, put all of his things back into his backpack as he begins making his way deeper into the forest, hoping that he can potentially run into a town or somewhere that he can stay for the night. Even if it's under a bridge or something, he just doesn't want to stay in the forest. That sounds terrifying. So Naruto would spend the next 2 days wandering through the forest, completely exhausted, looking extremely tired and having to have slept in some bushes those last nights. Naruto, finally, hearing a source of water nearby, would rush towards it as he can see this little dirty looking pond with a little bit of a river, but the river actually leads to the bottom of it. And Naruto, not thinking twice, would dunk his head into the water as he starts drinking it as fast as possible, but 2 seconds afterwards, Naruto would come out of the water as he'd start coughing crazily. Naruto then realizes that the color of the water was disgusting. And realizing this, Naruto wonders just how many disgusting little insects and animals and how dirty that water was that he just drank. Naruto would start to feel bad as he could feel his stomach instantly starting to make some noises. Naruto wasn't hungry, but he was thirsty. And Naruto, knowing that this was practically the only water he had seen in miles and miles, dunked his head in the water once more, gritting his teeth as Naruto starts drinking. Suddenly, Naruto would lay next to a tree as he could feel his stomach giving him extreme problems. Naruto could suddenly feel himself beginning to get dehydrated as he would start to feel the need to use the bathroom immediately. But as Naruto would be on the ground, his stomach would start hurting so badly he couldn't even get up. And as Naruto would be sitting there, Naruto would simply just be holding onto his stomach as he would think, I wish I wasn't sick. Suddenly, Naruto's body would feel healed. Naruto didn't exactly feel like his thirst was gone or his hunger was gone, but one thing was for sure. His stomach pain, it was completely gone. And as Naruto would look at his hands, he would wonder if he had done that. Did he fix himself? Was it possible that not only can Naruto, destroy things, but maybe he can fix them too? Naruto, staring at his hands, would just kind of sit there wondering what exactly he can do now, as suddenly Naruto can hear the crackle of a leaf in the distance, as all too quickly, wires and shuriken would begin flying all around Naruto, restraining him immediately. Naruto within this would hold his neck up going, "What's the big idea?" as a bunch of Anbu members from Danzo's root Anbu would surround him. As Naruto in this moment can feel his stomach drop, Naruto would watch 20 plus shinobi get closer and closer as they would tell Naruto that he's returning to the village, that they can't exactly have the Jinchuriki leaving whenever he wants. And as Naruto would stare at these masked beings, Naruto would simply feel his body begin to start shaking. Naruto feels so much anxiety in this moment, seeing them and wondering what exactly could even happen to him when he returns to the village, as suddenly Naruto would start to get a multitude of flashbacks. Memories would begin to flood his mind of the village and all of his horrible experiences. All of them would lead to a burning rage to begin mustering inside of Naruto, as suddenly one of the Anbu members would grab Naruto by the face, and the moment he would make contact with Naruto, that's when Naruto would strike. The man would be transformed into a massive monster that would begin rampaging, trying to kill the remaining Anbu members, as Naruto, realizing that this monster had just snapped the wiring, allowing him to get free, would rush towards the direction of another member, knowing that he had to take care of all of them or it was his life on the line. And so, rushing towards the direction of an Anbu member, Naruto would nearly have caught him when suddenly his arm would extend to that of a praying mantis as he would barely make contact with the ninja before they would also turn into a massive monster, beginning to rampage as the Anbu members would have a huge thing on their hands. They would attempt to take these things out, but it's almost as though they could feel no pain, and inside they were screaming for death. They wanted it to be over, they just needed help. But as Naruto would watch the remaining members of the Anbu, Naruto would grab shuriken and kunais as he began throwing them towards their direction, and with his praying mantis arms he would slash at one of the Anbu members, causing his bowels to literally go shooting out from his body as Naruto would leave a bloody mess behind. Every single one of the Anbu members would die, with many of them having been turned into grotesque creatures, with Naruto realizing that he had just done this to 20 plus people. Yeah, killing that kid was an accident, and maybe that shinobi that was guarding the village gate was on purpose, but this made him a full-blown killer. And as Naruto would stare at their bodies, Naruto in this moment would simply stare down as he would see his own reflection in the water, seeing himself covered in blood and black stains. Naruto would look at his eyes and his reflection and see that they looked so different, sad, and as though its childhood glitter had been completely removed. This is when suddenly Naruto would hear a voice from his head.
"Naruto, the village has failed you and now wants to exact revenge for killing those filthy brats. But I can help you."
"Huh? Who's that?" Naruto says.
"I'm inside you. I am the Nine Tails."
"What? The Nine Tails?" Naruto would say in shock, as he would then hear Kurama say,
"I can give you the power you desire to tear that village into the ground."
Naruto, hearing this voice rattle through his head as he would stare at his own reflection in the water, would look down in sadness as he would think to himself that he won't. That at the end of the day, even though this village is now after him, there's still people there that he cares about. Right? Naruto would think. Suddenly, a couple of people would flash in his head. Sakura, Hiruzen, Iruka, Shikamaru, and even the ramen guy. And as Naruto would have the images of these people flash in his mind, Naruto would steel his resolve, gripping his fist as he would think, I'm not going to return to that village, but I'm also not going to destroy it, because there's people there that I do care about. So, Naruto would get up, looking towards the distance and thinking, I'm going to find a village, and I'm going to start a new life, far away from the Leaf Village, where none of their Anbu can get near me, and I won't have to kill anyone anymore. Naruto would begin making his way towards the distant village, as he would eventually, a couple of hours later, start spotting bamboo in the distance, and making his way closer and closer towards that direction, Naruto would eventually find a village, a small little town, surrounded by tons and tons of bamboo and a couple of pandas. Naruto, seeing this, would then make his way to the center of the town, and walking through there with raggedy and beat up clothes, Naruto would make his way towards the direction of a random shopkeep. The shopkeep would look at Naruto with a look of not disdain or anger or hatred like what Naruto was used to, but genuine concern, as Naruto would say, "How much for a water?" The villager would then stare at Naruto and hand it to him, saying it's on the house, that he's definitely seen better days. And Naruto, taking it, would say, "No, I couldn't," but the man would simply tell him to get lost and take the water. Naruto, grabbing it with smiles, he would bow down, and the man would smile, thinking to himself that he hopes that that kid is okay. Naruto would drink the whole thing as he could feel his strength practically being restored. Suddenly, Naruto would make his way towards a random shop where they'd be selling udon noodles, not exactly ramen, but it'll do. Naruto would pay for his food and then quickly ask where he can find another village nearby. They would point him to the direction of the Hidden Leaf village, but Naruto would say, no, like another village is close by. They would tell him that the other closest village would probably be the Land of Water, or the Hidden Mist village, and they would ask Naruto why he needs to know this if he's traveling alone or something. Naruto, turning towards the man, would tell him that he is traveling alone, but he can't make it to the Land of Water, that he can't exactly swim that good. The man would start laughing, telling him that there's no way someone could swim there. As Naruto would chuckle, and the man would go on to tell him, "Alright, look, there is another village, the land hidden in the clouds." Naruto, hearing this, would say, "Yeah, that's perfect," as the man would go on to explain to him that the journey there is a difficult one, especially for someone of his age, but in about 8-7 days, he should probably make his way there on foot. And he would tell him that though it is dangerous to make his way there, he should probably be fine so long as he takes proper precautions. He could see that Naruto was wearing like a kunai around his waist, and he would think, you're a ninja, right? You should be fine. He'd go on to tell Naruto to just head that way and keep walking straight, and that once he sees a specific landmark, to start making his way to the right and then just keep walking straight. He'd be like, just turn about 90 degrees and you should be there. Naruto, hearing that, would smile at the man, pay his tab, and leave, as Naruto then would begin making his way towards the Land of the Clouds. As we would see Naruto traverse different terrains, eventually making his way closer and closer. And once Naruto would make his way towards one of the gates, Naruto would be greeted by a small girl with green hair. Naruto, looking towards her direction, would ask her if he's in the Land of the Clouds. And she would look at him asking, yeah, he is. Why is exactly a child just wandering around? She would look at him with intent eyes, wondering if he's another shinobi, simply just using the transformation jutsu to try to get in or take her out. She would be on high alert, but Naruto would give no signs of malicious intent, and as she would stare at Naruto's eyes, she could see that this was just a boy looking for somewhere to be. So, looking at him, she would turn towards the direction of another one of the shinobi and tell him to take him to the cloud, and specifically to go see the Raikage. She has a feeling that this boy is going to be special and he's probably going to catch the Raikage's attention. Naruto at this moment would then be escorted straight to the Raikage's office, where Naruto, once inside, would come face to face with Raikage A, who, staring at Naruto's golden blonde hair and blue eyes, would think, why, I'll be damned. He would look at him and think he's the spitting image of Minato. And then, thinking back to that encounter he had with his father, he would slam his hand in the desk, with Naruto kind of jumping back, going, did I do something, in his head? When suddenly the Raikage would burst out into laughter, telling him that asking him, what's your name, boy? Naruto, turning towards the Raikage, would say, my name is Naruto Uzumaki. And the Raikage would look at him intently before then saying, may I? As he would point to the stomach of Uzumaki Naruto before then lifting up his shirt to see the seal marking, seeing those whisker marks on his face, and a little ominous thought would go through his head. Now, not only would the Cloud Village have the 8 tails, and I believe it was the 2 or 3 tails in Yuki, Fu, he would also have the 9 tails, the strongest of all the tailed beasts in his village, and the son of Minato Namikaze. He would go on to ask him why exactly he's there, as Naruto would go on to tell him his sad little tale about how he was in the village and accidentally killed the boy for bullying him, and then afterwards he ran away because the village was intent on capturing him and killing him, or throwing him in prison. The Raikage hearing this would ask Naruto how exactly he did that to somebody. And Naruto would go on to tell him that it's an ability that he doesn't exactly understand yet, but from what he understands, he thinks that he has the capability of transforming someone's physical state by altering something inside of people, specifically living creatures. He thinks that it has to do with life essence itself. And the Raikage hearing this would look at Naruto with an interesting look before then telling him that, well, whatever the reason is that he's here, he doesn't care. That here at this village, he's gonna be treated like a king, and never again was he gonna get bullied by some brats. Plus, he was even gonna train him himself. How does that sound, Naruto? Naruto, staring at the Raikage, would say, "What, you mean it?" As the Raikage would look at him and say, "Sure." He'd put his hand on Naruto's shoulder as he would go on to smile, thinking that from now on, he's gonna be royalty. And so, we would get a massive time skip. Following the events of the massive time skip, we would cut to Naruto, Darui, and Karui all at the village entrance, as in this time, they would not be in the Cloud Village but in the Leaf Village, getting ready to participate in the Chunin exams which they were assigned to by Raikage A, after they would have been told that this year they're going to be participating in a mission. And with that being the case, we would cut to Naruto staring at the village in the sunset, as Naruto seeing the guards there and seeing a different man than the one that he had essentially ran into just a long years ago. Naruto would have a flashback to the moment where he touched the guy's face and he would have screamed out in horror and pain, pretty much begging Naruto to fix him, that he has a family, but Naruto just ran away, letting the man die. And as that memory would go through his head, Darui would suddenly say, "Naruto, are you okay?" At this point, Naruto turns back to Darui and just says, "Yeah, I'm fine." And it's at this point that we would flash backwards to Naruto having a conversation with the Raikage. Naruto would have been summoned to the office as Naruto walked inside, and looking at Raikage A, he would ask, "So, what's up?" Raikage would stare at Naruto, looking at him and telling him to take a seat, that they shouldn't take long, but he's probably gonna want to be seated. Naruto would do so, asking what's up, if he's about to take away his privileges or something, and the Raikage would laugh before explaining to Naruto that not quite. Actually, he's about to be given some, as he would go on to explain to Naruto that on this particular year, he's actually going to go out of the village alongside his team in order to participate in the Chunin exams, which this year will be held in the Leaf Village. Naruto, hearing those words, would kind of just feel his heart stop for a second as he would stare at him and question why. Why him of all people? The Raikage should know that he's more than prepared enough to become a Jonin type level ninja. And the Raikage, hearing this, would just sigh, going, "Well, Naruto, you are right about that, but there is one reason that I'm sending you there. It's not necessarily to have you participate in the Chunin exams, but more specifically to complete a mission that we've been sent. One of their members, or a rogue shinobi, known as Orochimaru, has requested our aid, and since I can send my ace out to help destroy this village, I figured what would be the damage." Naruto, hearing the words "destroy the village," would question on whether this is a mission to truly destroy Konoha, and the Raikage would simply nod, telling him that he knows the history between himself and the Leaf Village, but in this moment he's gonna have to ask him to put his feelings aside, because with the Leaf Village out of the equation, they will grow far more powerful. And it's not like they're the only village going after them. The Sand Village will also be sending their own ace, the One Tails, to handle distractions and a whole lot of casualties on their end. Naruto, hearing this, would think back to his memories in the village, and he would stare at the Raikage, telling him that he knows that he has feelings towards the village. Whether they're positive or negative, he isn't really too sure. But he would tell the Raikage that he plans to execute this mission to perfection, that he's grateful for everything he's done to him, and he'll do his best to make sure he doesn't fail him. The Raikage would smile, grabbing Naruto by the hair, ruffling it, and telling him that that's all he can ask. Looking to Naruto before telling him that if this mission is completed correctly, this is gonna be the final nail in the coffin for that village to finally fall to its knees. And Naruto, hearing that, would kind of wince at the thought, thinking about his time in Konoha and how beautiful the village was whenever the villagers weren't staring daggers at him or wishing he was dead, or that day that everything turned to, well, I don't have to say the word. Anyways, Naruto, hearing this, would look at the Raikage before bowing in respect and leaving. And with that being said, we're going to be covering a little bit into how Naruto's life has been ever since he ended up taking a part into the Cloud Village. Naruto's life has changed drastically, with the treatment that he gets from the villagers in this place being a lot different, since the secret of Naruto being a Jinchuriki isn't something exposed thanks to Naruto requesting of the Raikage not to do so. So with that being the case, people just look at Naruto as a normal boy, not knowing of the truth of his Jinchuriki status, and this was perfect, considering that the Raikage didn't exactly want it getting out there that the Leaf's Jinchuriki was currently in their village, so they would keep him hidden by telling Naruto to change his name as well as his appearance. And thanks to Naruto's abilities that he's getting access to Mahito, we would pretty much end up having Naruto use an ability that is kind of similar to the transformation jutsu, but not entirely. Naruto would alter the shape of his soul, and thus he would end up altering the way that he himself looks, going from a blonde-haired boy to a gray-haired boy with green eyes and long hair. He would be having like a ponytail type outfit, and when it comes to the clothes that he's rocking like a very different, like secretive, think Gabimaru, but like the color, think kind of like a Gabimaru outfit with like a little bit more ninja mixed into it. That's kind of the outfit that Naruto has going on. He has his cloud headband on his shoulder, and Naruto has a sword on his back that he was gifted via Killer Bee. So with my explanation of Naruto's life out of the way, let's actually jump into how strong Naruto has gotten during this time. During this time, Naruto definitely would have polished up his taijutsu and learned a couple of ninjutsu capabilities, primarily focusing on his affinity, which is wind style, meaning that Naruto has learned a couple of wind charge punches and how to pretty much channel his wind chakra into his objects when he's fighting, primarily his blade. Naruto also has begun working on some lightning style techniques thanks to the Raikage, and over the course of these years, Naruto has been being taught techniques to him by the Raikage as well as Killer Bee. Naruto would train underneath the two of them, as well as Fu, who would be a fellow Jinchuriki along his side. And over the course of this training, Naruto would become a true beast, being able to wield 2 tails of the 9 tails' power and also have access to his own abilities that he's not going to be losing. And some of you might be wondering, yo Xehther, why doesn't Naruto have access to the full 9 tails? Well, the reason for that, even though he has had all this time to train alongside a perfect Jinchuriki like Killer Bee and an exceptional Jinchuriki, and I believe her name is Fu, Naruto still doesn't have everything, just due to the fact that when Naruto did his training to essentially try to use the power of the 9 tails, the training didn't exactly go too well, considering that in this timeline Naruto wasn't able to clear the waterfall training that he would do so in the original, because in this timeline Naruto had a couple of extra demons he had to overcome, and he had a lot of things mentally that were holding him back this entire town. So with that being the case, though Naruto still is an incredibly dangerous shinobi that can pretty much just instant kill you by literally just touching you, which would be the main thing that Naruto focused on, his speed would be the thing that would make him a phenomenal shinobi. That's all there is to it in terms of Naruto's life and how strong he's gotten over the course of this years. So with that said, we can now kind of just jump into Naruto's point of view as he and the team would be walking into the village, and doing so we would have Naruto taking notice of the way people are staring at him. This time, people are just looking at him with a gaze of curiosity, wondering what ninjas from other villages are doing here. And as they would go through the village, people would start yelling out on sale, like little offers, like trying to get him to stop at their shops, with Naruto confused because many years ago when he was here in the village, nobody ever did that. Whenever he was walking by, people would normally yell, "Get lost, 9 tails," or "Get lost, you damn demon," as Naruto would walk through the streets and feel very ostracized. But now, Naruto feels like he's welcomed. Well, at least as welcomed as you can feel when you know someone's trying to take your money. But that's not the point. Point being, as Naruto's walking through this place, he can feel rage boiling to the surface, as Naruto would feel just how much prejudice there truly was on him before. And as these emotions would start to boil to the surface, Naruto and the team would turn a corner, seeing a hot spring-like area, where they would see a young boy being picked up by Kankuro, as we would zoom into Konohamaru getting picked on in this moment, with Naruto stepping forward and Darui holding him by the shoulder saying, "Naruto, don't." But Naruto would simply stare back at him, giving him the glare of "don't stop me," as Naruto would walk forth towards Kankuro and tell him, you got a lot of balls to pick on children from this village, considering that we're here to take an exam. As Kankuro would stare at Naruto going, "Oh yeah, and what's it to you, huh?" Naruto would give him this stare of just aura, as no, not aura, that's not the way that I want to word it, like a bloodlust type of stare, with Kankuro feeling a similar aura to what he feels when Gaara gives him that same stare. It's not the same maniacal one, but he can tell that Naruto is much stronger than him, and gives off an aura of "I will kill you if I have to." So with that being the case, Kankuro would kind of just stare at Naruto going, "You're right, I should let the breath go." He would drop him down, saying that it wasn't even a big deal, as he would tell the kid, "Run along now." And so we would see Kankuro walking over to Temari, with him whispering, "He's strong, maybe even as strong as Gaara." It's at this moment that Naruto and Gaara would lock eyes, as the two of them would stare off at each other, with Gaara licking his lips going, "Mother must have his blood." And then we would kind of just have Darui going over to Naruto saying, "What the heck you do that for, Naruto?" Or, that's not, I'm going to be saying that he refers to him as Naruto, but just to let you guys know, Naruto definitely would have an alias. And because there's no better alias to use for him in this timeline, we're going to be going with Mahito. That said though, after this small little skirmish would be over, Karui would look over to Naruto asking if this is exactly how he remembers the place. And Naruto would say that it's changed a bit, but yeah, pretty much. As they'd be talking about this, they'd turn a corner, just looking around at the area, as Karu would say, "Hot damn, they have hot springs. Can't wait to go soak in those later." And as Naruto would be hearing her go on about how she can't wait to get into the hot springs, Naruto would spot Sakura, the pink hair that Naruto had constantly found himself staring at in the back of the class whenever he went to the Chunin, to the academy. And as Naruto would see that, he would catch a solid glimpse of Sakura, as Naruto would simply think inside of his head, "Damn, I can't believe I really used to like her." As Naruto would see this, or think this, Naruto would also catch a glimpse of Sasuke and Sai, as Naruto would watch them from afar, with one person noticing this and confronting Naruto, with this obviously being Sai, seeing as the dude is in the Anbu and is very attentive when it comes to his surroundings. So Sai, looking at Naruto, would look at him, staring at him before faking smiling. You guys know that little fake smile Sai does? And he would ask, "Why are you staring at us?" Naruto would simply pretty much scoff at that, laughing, as he would go off to pretty much say that he's just trying to scout out the competition, walking away as he would just say, "Good luck, you guys." As we would then go into Sai's mind, who would be thinking, didn't feel like that, but whatever. He would continue, kind of just sitting there questioning things and being like, "Oh, am I supposed to smile here?" He would put on his fake smile with Sakura going, "You always gotta put on an act, don't you, Sai? Why do you always do that?" Sai would say, "I don't know what you mean." And as this would be happening, we would cut back to the team pretty much on top of a random building, as all of them would begin to talk about things. Naruto would start sighing as he would look up at the sunset, which was now officially going down and things were getting dark, as Darui would look to Naruto asking him how exactly he really feels being back in this village. Naruto would stare at him before saying, "Honestly, I don't know. I guess it still hasn't registered in my mind that I'm still here in this place. I mean, to tell you the truth, the first week that I ran away, I wished that I could have stayed here, but getting to know you, Darui, Karui, B, the Raikage, and even all the people that I've grown accustomed to in the cloud, I don't regret it anymore, but sometimes as I'm walking throughout this village, I can't help but think about how my life could have been if I never did that day, if I would have just went with the Anbu member, if I didn't kill him." Daru would look at him as he would tell him that whatever would have been the case, he's sure it wouldn't have been as cool or fun as what they've gone through, going on to remind Naruto of their countless adventures and missions and all the times that they got in trouble with the Raikage for pulling stupid stunts. Naruto would start laughing with him as he would say, "Yeah, you're right about that," as the two of them would have a nice conversation, and Karui would say, "Hey, don't leave me out of things." They would all have a nice long talk into the night, and they would all begin explaining what they plan to do after this mission, with Naruto pretty much going on to tell them that when it comes to his goals, he has none. Honestly, he just enjoys being in the cloud, having friends, and not feeling like he's doing something wrong for simply existing. Darui would look at Naruto as he couldn't understand the feeling, but just placing his hand over Naruto's shoulder gave Naruto comfort. Karui, looking to Naruto, would have a slight blush. She would say, "Well, it's not that I care about it or anything, but I hope you're okay." She would look away as Naruto would smile, knowing exactly what she meant, and all three of them would kind of just chill for the night, as we would then cut forth to the day of the actual exam, and we would begin with the written portion, as the team would essentially use simple teamwork to give each other the answers in very slick ways to essentially pass this section of the test, as we would then cut to them in the side of the forest with all three of them jumping from tree to tree, thinking on what strategy they're going to be using to take somebody out. All of them would laugh simultaneously, knowing that they're way stronger than the rest of the competition, as eventually they come across a random team not expecting it, and Naruto and Karui jump down, ambushing them, as Darui comes in from the left flank and ends up knocking them down. It's at this point that Wire would capture all of them, as Naruto would go on to tell them to give them their scroll, and one of the people who were captured would say, "I would if you would just release my arms." Naruto would say he's sorry about that, but tell him that he's gonna hold his kunai to his neck just in case. The ninja would go on to hand Naruto the scroll, as Naruto would thank them for their compliance and walk away, as the team would vanish suddenly using the body flicker technique. It's at this point that as they're making their way towards the center of the arena, or the forest, it's a better way to put it, all three of them would suddenly sense a massive chakra signature and a battle raging on nearby. Naruto, sensing this, would know that that has to be the one who hired them, the legendary Sannin Orochimaru. As Naruto turning towards them, he would say that he wants to go check out just how strong this guy is. As he would rush over, and arriving there, Naruto would actually catch a glimpse of a scene he wasn't expecting. Sasuke would be there, Sharingan active, about to be bitten by Orochimaru, with Sakura mustering up the courage to run in front of him and jump in the way of the attack, or the bite that Orochimaru was about to land on Sasuke. Naruto, seeing this, would have his body just move, as Naruto in this moment unwillingly, not that he has feelings for her still or anything like that, but it's just kind of the sense of he used to go to class, and not too long ago, Sakura was the reason that Naruto looked forward to that. He looked forward to, as creepy as this sounds, walking by her in the hallway and catching, the smell of her perfume. He looked forward to, being assigned partner teams, and even though Sakura would say that he's a loser and all this stuff, being put on the same team as her. Even if it was just because, she was one of the few couple of girls in the class, Naruto couldn't help but think back on all the things that he memorized about her, like her flowers and favorite food and all those things that he picked up on just because he had a crush on her. And it's in this moment that Naruto, holding his blade out, would hold Orochimaru back, as he would tell him to get back and send Orochimaru flying backwards. Naruto, doing this, would then stand in front of Sakura as they would be on top of a tree branch, with Sai watching on curiously as to why he would even jump in the way to help them. Suddenly, Naruto would have two tails of the Nine Tails' aura cover him, and it would all come clear to Sai. Sakura would say, "What? Why are you helping?" As Naruto would then rush towards the direction of Orochimaru, and swinging his blade down, he would watch as Orochimaru would sidestep this before then creating his like a snake in his arm and shooting it towards the direction of Naruto. Naruto would slice the thing in half, with Orochimaru substituting and telling Naruto that he's quite impressive. Suddenly, Karui, coming in with her blade, would try to slash at Orochimaru, as he, jumping back, would then watch on as Darui would use his black lightning jutsu to attack Orochimaru, who would say, my, what an unfortunate turn of events. It seems as though our temporary alliance is going to have to come to a fault. And hearing this, Naruto, knowing that he made a stupid mistake, would essentially have to double down in this moment, as he would stand in front of Sasuke and Sakura in an effort to protect them. This is when we would zoom into Naruto's eyes, as he would have the pupils of the Nine Tails going through them with the aura that he's emanating off of himself, causing his chakra to be visible. In this moment, Naruto would show his determination, as Orochimaru, licking his lips staring at the Jinchuriki, would think that maybe he should fight Sasuke another time. Suddenly, Orochimaru would disappear from the forest, understanding that this wasn't exactly the best situation to showcase his power to Sasuke, as he would disappear, like I had already said, and he would pretty much end up leaving the area, wondering why it is that he, of all people, ended up being sent here, questioning what the Raikage was thinking when he had sent this boy, who clearly wasn't helping out with the plan. And so, as we would pretty much just see Orochimaru like upset at this, he would report this to the Raikage, who would pretty much tell Orochimaru that he will get his shinobi in order, but to not worry about the plan, that he's going to be making sure that it goes by smoothly. This is when we would essentially have a letter coming to the team sometime during the 1 month break, which would essentially explain to them that what they did against Orochimaru was idiocy, and they could have gotten themselves killed, to stick to the plan and not to do something that foolish again. Naruto, hearing this letter, could practically feel the punch to his head that Raikage is going to give him once he gets back home, and him thinking about this would start to kind of shudder. But I'm getting too ahead of myself here. Point is, after Orochimaru would go off, this is when we would zoom back into what had just happened, as we would then cut to Sakura asking Naruto and the team why they helped them, with Naruto simply telling them that they didn't exactly want to see another team get massacred when there was no need for that. He would sheath his blade, telling them not to get into any more trouble, that they won't be lucky enough to have their assistance any longer. And so, they would all body flicker out of there, with Sasuke staring at them with an injured state, limping with Sakura, as the three of them, him, Sai, and Sakura, would rest at a nearby cave. They would end up having the same skirmish with the sound getting that Naruto, Sasuke, and Sakura get in the original, with the 1v1 battles that we get in the normal timeline still happening, and Naruto in this timeline still being paired up against Kiba, which means that his match was pretty much just a massacre, with Naruto taking this match a little bit personally, just due to the fact that Kiba was one of the people who back then used to pick on Naruto every chance he got. So in this timeline, let's just say Naruto made sure that Kiba's beating hurt, and a lot. So with that being said, the 1 month training thing would finally commence, and over the course of this time period, we would actually jump cut to Sai, who would be reporting to Danzo what had happened during the Chunin exams and how Sasuke is progressing. As Danzo would ask him if that's everything, as a slight, no, not a smile, because Sai is literally incapable of smiling, as he would pretty much bow down his head and tell him that there has been new events, pretty much transpiring during the exams. He would inform Danzo that during this, not only did Orochimaru attack, which Danzo was already expecting, however, Naruto, the 9 children Jinchuriki, he was back in the village, and he was now serving as a Cloud Village member, under the pretense name of Mahito. Danzo, hearing this, would be shocked at the fact that the Nine Tails decided to show its head here once more, as a smile would creep on his face, and he would think that this is good. This is a very fortunate turn of events, that recently they've been running out of excuses as to where their Jinchuriki has gone, with the Raikage pushing more and more as to, where exactly their Jinchuriki is and how much they've progressed. And Danzo now understands why that's been the case. They've been harboring their Jinchuriki all along. Danzo would smile, knowing that over the course of this time, he's going to be having an entire month to plan how to retrieve the Nine Tails, and once he does, he's going to make sure to strip that Naruto kid of it, no matter what it takes. Son of Minato or not, the Nine Tails will be his. As we would now jump cut to the 1v1 battles that happen after the 1 month, with Naruto finding himself facing off against Neji Hyuga. Naruto, staring at the Hyuga prodigy, would look at his eyes intently, as Naruto would question how exactly that ability functions. It's at this point that Naruto would start analyzing the Hyuga's eyes, questioning Neji, on what exactly his visual prowess grants him. And Neji would go on to explain to him that it grants him 360 vision, and it is the greatest dojutsu in all of the nations. At this point, Naruto would go on to tell him that's so, as suddenly, Naruto's eyes would change, shifting into that of the Byakugan, as his veins would pop out and Naruto could see 360 degrees of everything that was happening all around him. Naruto in this moment would tell Neji that this visual prowess is a bit trippy, as Neji seeing this would feel genuine rage, stepping into the area for the 64 palm trigram strike, as he would go on to knock each and every single one of Naruto's chakra paths down, sending Naruto into the ground tumbling, as Naruto on the ground faking that he has been taken out would then have a smile appear on his face, as Naruto would stand back up without any damage. Since Naruto's soul wasn't directly impacted, Naruto using Mahito's abilities was able to simply walk off the damage, and getting up closer to the direction of Neji, Naruto would place his hand on Neji, changing the shape of his soul, as suddenly Neji would find himself unable to access his visual prowess. And with Naruto having done this to Neji and him being shocked by these turn of events, Neji would suddenly be hit in the jaw, as he would be knocked out much like he would have been in the original. With that being the case, Neji would scream, as on the ground, having completely given up, he would say, "What did you do? What did you do?" The match would be declared over, and as this would happen and Naruto would lift his arm up in celebration, all too quickly, Naruto would find himself surrounded by countless Anbu members. Hundreds of members would all rush Naruto, as they would all attempt to kill the boy, or sorry, not kill, but capture him. Suddenly, Naruto can feel the feeling of a bunch of bugs crawling up his body, as Naruto could feel the special technique of the Aburami clan about to essentially paralyze him. Naruto would try to counter this, but it would be too late, and suddenly Naruto could find himself poisoned and feeling as though his vision was becoming blurry and his body was going limp. Every single one of the muscles in his body would start to cramp, as Naruto could find himself in a state where he found himself feeling so stiff that he couldn't move a single muscle. He felt as though he was being pierced by needles in every single pore. And that was just the beginning, because Danzo wasn't done. He would rush to Naruto's side with Hiruzen going, "What's the meaning?" before suddenly Orochimaru would attack him, and their battle would begin, followed by the One-Tails transforming into a Shukaku-like state and a bunch of beasts arriving in the village. Kakashi, Might Guy, and the rest of the Leaf Village's forces would now be forced to combat this, all the while trying to ignore Naruto, who at this point would be taken to a separate location, taken closer and closer to the Anbu hideout as Naruto was in this stiff predicament. Suddenly, Naruto would finally gain access to his own soul and finally find his body able to move for a split second, as he would alter the shape of his soul, fighting back against the poison, with his body control having returned to him, as Naruto would continue, or not continue, but attempt to start fighting back against the Anbu. Suddenly, Naruto, facing off against each and every single one of them, would start touching them all one at a time, as they would start turning into these vicious monsters, which would instantly explode the moment that they would turn into them. Danzo having used a seal on them to make sure that if anybody was turned against them, he can just kill them instantly. So with that being the case, and Naruto being shocked that Danzo would do that to his own men, he would fight on, as Danzo in the distance would clap, telling him that while he's glad the prodigal son has returned, now he's gonna have to rip him of his 9 tails. And as Naruto would hear that, he would be getting more and more pissed, as memories of his life prior to this would flood in his mind, and Naruto would grit his teeth thinking, "I'm not gonna let this village capture me and take away the life that I've built for myself." Naruto in this moment would understand that he was a fool to fight for this village and even try to save any of its members. The thought would course through his head that would be everybody from this village is scum. As Naruto, seeing the man in front of him perform these horrible deeds, would think to himself that he was right to abandon this village. This village was nothing but evil. This village is what's wrong with the world. And as Naruto would be thinking these thoughts, all too suddenly, the voice of the Nine Tails would echo through his head, telling him that he can help him. Naruto in this moment would start to contemplate the thought of accepting Kurama's help, as he would be overwhelmed by countless Anbu members. Every time he takes one out, it's as though another one comes in quickly to replace him, and there would be so many attacks coming at him from every angle that it was getting hard to keep up, even with his ability to essentially negate the damage by changing the shape of his soul. Eventually, Naruto would turn his body into that of spikes like a porcupine, as he would shoot it out towards 100 Anbu members, killing the lot of them, but more would just come out, and lightning styles jutsus would start to shoot at Naruto's direction, paralyzing him. And as Naruto would be stuck in this paralyzed like state, in his mind time would be moving 1/100th of a second, as Naruto could see the nine-tailed fox in front of him, as it would say,
Naruto.
Naruto hearing this, sorry for my cringy impression of Kurama, he hearing this would stare at the fox, as he would tell him that he's not going to accept his power, but the Nine Tails would tell him that without his strength, he will die, and even he has to know that. Naruto, taking note of this and knowing that he is right, would look at the Nine Tails as he would tell him that he doesn't care what happens to him anymore. He just wants this village and everyone in it destroyed. The Nine Tails would smile, telling him that he can do that for him, but he just needs to rip that seal. So Naruto, in this moment of desperation, having nobody there by his side, with both of his teammates having been taken out by the Anbu members, Naruto would reach his hand to remove the seal and would halfway do it when suddenly a hand of the fourth Hokage would stop him. Minato Namikaze would now be in front of him, as he would look at him with these eyes that are just telling him that he understands his pain, he feels him. Minato would suddenly say, "It's been a while, Naruto." As Naruto, seeing this, would say, "Fourth?" This is when suddenly everything would change, and he would see Minato as he would begin to explain to him that he understands why he was going to do that, but he would go on to tell him that he can't, that even he must understand that the Nine Tails is just trying to use him. Naruto, hearing this, would say that he knows, but this is the only, as Minato would say, "This isn't the only way, Naruto. There is another way, and you know it. Fight through this. I'm sorry that I couldn't be there for you all these years, but I couldn't be there for you because I, just like you, thought that there was no other way. If only I would have done things differently, Naruto. Maybe your life would have been different." Naruto, hearing this, would then understand. That's his father. The eyes, the hair. It didn't lie. Minato apologizes profusely for all the bad things his village has done, all the while explaining to Naruto that though there is bad people in this village, that doesn't make the village bad. As he would put his hand on Naruto's shoulder, telling him that whatever Naruto chooses to do, he will love him. But he would tell him, as he would stare at his eyes, getting serious for a moment, explaining to not let the Nine Tails take control over him. Naruto would now could feel tears pouring down his cheeks as he would stare at Minato going, "Dad, why was I alone?" He would begin to pretty much cry crazy as Minato would bring him in for a hug, telling him that he's sorry he couldn't be there, once again explaining to him that he'll be with him soon, but today is still not that day. And in this moment, Naruto, returning back to the real world, would proceed to push everyone away just long enough for Naruto to be able to access a technique that Naruto had been working on for such a long time. Suddenly, no longer being restrained by anything, Naruto would be able to create the lightning cloak, which would surround Naruto alongside the two tails, which would amp up Naruto's power significantly to the degree that Naruto was able to speed blitz hundreds, and I do mean hundreds, like 300 Anbu members, turning them into monsters that practically explode. Blood would gush out everywhere as Danzo, seeing this, knowing that that boy was dangerous and he needed to get out of there now, would essentially try to fight against Naruto, catching him off guard with his capability of dying and coming back to life. However, this would only make things worse for Danzo, because each time that he would come back, Naruto would kill him over and over again, with the last thing that Danzo seeing being Naruto's hand, getting one step closer to his face as pop, Danzo would die in 1 millisecond as the attack would be over, and Naruto, now finding himself in this strange area of the village, would then return back to the Chunin exams, where Naruto would see the bodies of Darui and Karui unconscious. Naruto taking them over his shoulder, he would end up escaping the village, not caring about what happened to it afterwards, deciding that he's no longer going to have any ties to this village, but for his father and for the memories and people that he did meet there, he hopes they'll be fine, but they're no longer his problem. He would leave the village as 2 Naruto clones would carry Darui and Karui, and Naruto would find himself in the Raikage's office days later. Once there, Naruto, having his head down, would stare at the Raikage as he would go on to ask him for his forgiveness, with the Raikage staring at Naruto and telling him that though that mission didn't play out as he had intended, he's glad that things worked out the way that they did. At the end of the day, now every other nation knows that the Leaf Village no longer possesses Jinchuriki, and Hiruzen has been taken care of. So as far as he's concerned, the mission went by smoothly. He would go on to inform him that even Orochimaru, one of the village's threats, was taken care of. So he should be proud and hold his head high. Naruto in this moment would look at the Raikage as he would tell him that as much as this village has done for him, he still couldn't bring himself to fully hate that place or want to destroy it with all his guts. And he would then stare at the Raikage as he would apologize to him, saying that even though his loyalty now is in the cloud, he will refuse to always return to that village and be the one to destroy it. The Raikage would smile before smacking Naruto across the head, telling him that he understands, and going on to tell him to stop with the sentimental stuff, as he would tell him that that mission was more or less a test to prove his loyalty and whether he had truly cut ties with the Leaf. He would look out the window as he would say, though his ties with the Leaf weren't fully destroyed, he is proud of the way that Naruto handled things, and he's glad that Naruto showed his loyalty at the end of the day. Regardless of what headband is on his head, it doesn't matter, because now he knows that Naruto is going to be willing to do whatever it takes for this village, and Naruto would nod, telling him that he would, with the Raikage explaining that that's all he could ask for, as he would smile, telling Naruto that he's going to be making for a great Kage one day, with Naruto going, "Kage?" As the Raikage would tell him that, yeah, that's the truest way to prove your loyalty to this village, as Naruto would laugh, telling the Raikage that he's ready for whatever. And so, the story of what if Naruto was Mahito's reincarnation would come to a close. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I know that I didn't technically finish the story, what with the Akatsuki still being out there, but honestly, I really enjoyed the way that this story pretty much ended up taking place. And my train of thought was that if the Akatsuki did try to attack the Cloud Village with Naruto, Killer Bee, and Fu there, as well as the Raikage and his crazy abilities that he's going to have even more time to hone, there's just no way that the Akatsuki is going to be able to do anything to Naruto. At that point, they're going to be handled just like the fodder Anbu were in the last fight that just took place. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, consider this a happily ever after story for Naruto. I loved scripting this video, and when I tell you guys I had fun with this one, I genuinely mean it. From start to finish, I crafted up a fire story, so I really hope that this was good for you guys, and to you, bro, who commissioned this video. Shout out to you. I really appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to, commission a video for your boy. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's been your boy Xehther, and I am out. Peace. Also, P.S. I'm going to let this video stretch out for 1 hour just because I know you absolute fiends have a higher likelihood of clicking on this video if it's 1 hour. So in case you finish this video and you're wondering why there's 4 minutes of straight silence, that's why. More people will click on the video if it's 1 hour instead of if it was only 59 minutes or 56 minutes. So with that being said, I'm officially out. Peace.